Welcome to day 5 of becoming psychic. So we have a few things to talk about today, and let's have a review what we're going to talk about, and then I'll get into it. So we're going to talk about how to read other people's energy, because I think that's really important, like how to read other people if you're wanting to read how to be psychic for other people. And the other thing we're going to talk about is the idea that, just cleansing my hands a little bit. I don't know why. Like, I feel like the energy is a little dense. Okay. Florida water. If you know, you know. All right. So I want to talk about reading others, and then I want to talk about an idea that I think will resonate with a lot of you that are in this course, and some things that questions that I get from people, and they kind of boil down to like something that is just, they boil down to a thought. So let's discuss that first, and then we'll discuss how to read other people's energy. Phone call coming in. If this is resonating, if these 5 days are resonating, if you're feeling like, yes, I'm feeling really good about this, and you're wanting more support or more assistance, reach out to me and we can see if working together would be something that is in your future or something that is in your right now. I love helping people connect to their physical body and then connect to their intuitive gifts and psychic thoughts, right? So that is one of the things that I do, and I find that if you're having trouble connecting to these psychic gifts, if you're having trouble connecting to your intuition, I can guarantee that it's because there is a disconnect between you and your physical body. And we talked about that on day 1, and it's just really, 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 really important to connect to the physical body, to connect to the earth, to connect to the physical. You will become more psychic the more and more and deeper that you connect to the physical body. I know that that's probably not what you have ever been taught, but I am telling you, the more that you ground down, the more that you understand your physical body, the better you will become, and the more efficient, the more connected you will become to source, because that is the essence of it. We are the gateway between the earth and source, and there's a bridge. So this bridge is what I really want to talk about. So you're right now building a bridge through these psychic abilities. You are building a bridge between you and source. Okay? You are your physical self. You are if you want to say it, you are a spiritual being living in the physical world. But you are living in the physical world. And I know I hear a lot of buzzwords being thrown around in the spiritual community about 5D and 3D and all of these things. Did anybody else see that? But the reality is that you are a physical being, and you will not transmute from this space in any way, shape, or form until you die. And I know that sounds like a little bit morbid, but it's true that you are your own physical being. Hi. And so that is what you most have to connect to. And what you are doing is, the more that you connect to your physical body, is you are building a bridge. You're building a bridge to source. Here is the goal. Here is what we want as the goal. We want to create this bridge so that the gap between this physical reality and living through the eyes of source, whether that be God or universe or whatever it is that you kind of resonate with, that gap, we talked about that gap, I think, yesterday, that gap no longer exists in your mind. That you can read the energy of anything and everyone. That the more that you build onto this bridge, the closer the gap becomes. Because we want to make sure that we are less disjointed, right? And I have this like book, right? It's one of my favorite books. It's like an encyclopedia, I would say, rather than a book. And this idea of, I want to tell you like an idea from this, not from this book, but it's from the Celtic shaman, and describes a shaman now we're not talking about shamanism, but this is what I am talking about with your psychic abilities and connecting to source. One whose work is so integrated into everyday life that the join does not show, okay? We want to connect to our physical body. We want to connect to source. We want to connect to God and the universe and our psychic abilities to the effects that we do not see the difference between us and source. We don't see the difference between us and the ant in the ground. We don't see the difference. And we don't see the difference in energy is really what it is that we are fully connected to ourselves, to source, and to every single person around us. We want to make sure that that is the goal here. And I think oftentimes when we think about becoming psychic, when we think about tapping into our intuitive gifts, I think when we first really start doing it, it's for selfish reasons. And I say that because that's where I started, and that's where a lot of people started, is that it's for selfish reasons. I want to know how to protect myself against psychic attacks. I want to know how to protect my family. I want to know how to connect so I can make more money. I want to know how I can find the love of my life, right? And it's not usually based on a community theory of connecting to source so that we are coming together as a community, that we're coming together as a whole. We oftentimes start this process of spiritual awakening as an awakening to the abuse that we maybe have endured, or we start our spiritual awakening because we feel really lost in life. These things that present to us, we often start because of a selfish kind of way of thinking. And that's not bad. That's not like a bad thing. But what I would encourage you and invite you to look at is that tapping into your intuitive gifts, tapping into your psychic gifts are for the community. So they're for you, they're for me, and they're for all of it, all the community. That's really what I want you to focus on. And I'm telling you, you will grow quantum leaps if you focus on the collective as a whole for the reason why you're tapping in, rather than just focusing on yourself. This is just going to help you grow quicker. It's going to help you connect quicker. It's going to help you connect with all sorts of energies and source and God and universe. And I just really encourage people to really connect to a collective consciousness rather than just selfishly kind of driving yourself for your own gain. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to gain things as a person, but what it does mean is that you're going to gain things as a person by expanding yourself out into the universe and helping the community. So it's just, I'm very much an advocate for helping the community, for helping the earth, for helping with the physical reality. If you see, kids that you want to help because they don't have food, like that should be your mission. If you want to create a better space for Black Lives Matter and people of color and the LGBTQ community, like if that, I think, should be your focus, is creating a economy where your psychic gifts are helping the community. I know, and like I said, I know that we start this path, usually a spiritual awakening happens because we are suffering as an individual. We are not understanding why this is happening. But when we can look at a broader spectrum, you're going to be able to connect quicker and you'll be able to help more people. So I just kind of wanted to say that today, is that we're creating this bridge with these psychic gifts, and this bridge is our connection to source. And we want to be able to have this bridge where it looks totally connected and we're not having spaces of disconnect. And those spaces of disconnect are usually when we're not connecting to the community and when we're not like helping every single person around us, and we become very self-centered. And that's not a bad thing, but I do think in the spiritual community and specifically in the personal development community is that community gets lost because we're personally developing all the time, and we forget that the personal development also needs to be a reflection of our community development. And so I'm just a strong advocate for that, and I like to speak about that a lot with my clients and my courses and anything that you've ever taken with me. You know that I speak a lot about community. So I just wanted to say that before I talk about how to read for others because I think it's important that you're not reading for others for your own selfish gain, but to help them access their gifts or help them access, you know, an ancestor, if you're a medium, if you're a psychic medium, you're helping others connect with their family members that passed away, and maybe ones that they didn't get to say goodbye to. That's one of my favorite things to do, is connect people with their loved ones. And more often than not, I'm just going to be really transparent, I usually do that for free, and that's not something that I do in sessions, honestly. I do it if you're booking a session for yourself, and then I allow your ancestors to come through. And I do charge for that. I shouldn't say I don't, but it's one of my things that I really love to do, is helping others connect with loved ones that have passed. So let's talk about how to read for others. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can read for others. I think that some people commented, but for some reason, I'm not seeing it. So, hi. Oh, there it is. That's so weird. That's really weird. Okay. So when we want to help other people either read their own energy, connect with their past or present, or connect with their loved ones, or just connect them to their own source, whatever it may be, here is how we're going to do that. This is the easiest way to do that. I would suggest, if you're going to start reading for others, that you start with reading for people that you know. I don't suggest that if you use your psychic abilities for random people that you don't know, strangers, let's say, because you don't know what kind of energy they have. You don't know what you're connecting with, especially if you're just starting out with this and you're just starting practicing. You don't know what they have going on. And if you're not like really strong with protecting yourself, you could just kind of like have that energy come into you. And when people aren't in their own body and in their own energy, they will project a lot of dark and energies that don't really feel good in the body. And especially if you're like an empath, or you're like used to like taking on other people's energies, it's important that when you start reading for other people, that you start with people that you know and that you love and that you understand their energy already. It doesn't mean that you know everything and that you're like, are these psychic thoughts, or are these just because I know them? They don't tell you everything. So you'll be able to do this and feel more comfortable in that person's energy. It's kind of like, if you've ever, well, maybe not a lot of you, but like in most professions, like if you start cutting hair, or you do massage, or you know, any kind of service space where you're offering someone a service, usually you start with the people that are in the class with you, or you start with family and friends. Like, you don't just automatically start helping strangers, because you want to make sure that you understand your own energy. So I just recommend that, just as a blanket statement, recommending starting with people that you already know. I just see so often people starting with people that they don't know, and then they don't know how to protect themselves, and they are taking on unwanted energies. And I say this from personal experience because that happened to me. I didn't know how to protect myself, and I just started doing on Reiki whoever. Like, I would just do Reiki, and Reiki usually comes with psychic hits, intuitive hits, and you can do a session, and then you kind of just tell people about their energy. And I got really sick. Like, I got like the flu, because this person was going through a massive mental breakdown, and they came to me for help, and I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't know I could say no to people, one. And about 3 to 5 minutes into the session, my nose started like dripping. I started coughing, like I started getting sick. And after the session, I was completely like, I was like done, like, and I was in bed for several days afterwards. And it was because I just took on all her energy without protecting myself. So I really encourage you just to start with your family and friends, right? All right, so the easiest way to do that is to take a piece of their jewelry, something that they love, something, you know, I'm like, what do I have in here that I can show you? I don't have anything in here that is like somewhat personal. It's like all crystals and stuff I use in sessions. This is like my office, so I don't have like a ton of like super personal stuff. I have nothing in here. That's so weird. Okay. Oh, here, like my wedding ring. That would be personal. So if I was doing a reading for someone, I would ask them if I could take a piece of their jewelry, not like take it, but like just to hold on to it. So let's say I was doing a reading for someone and I said, hand me your wedding ring. And so I would put it in my hand and I would just kind of close it like this, and I would close in the energy. So however it feels comfortable, closing in the energy of whatever you have in your hand. You could also touch somebody if you want to read it that way. You'll eventually be able to do it without having anything of personal effects of there, without having to touch them. They won't have to be in the same room. But when you're first starting out, we call this, your energy field can only expand to how far you're willing to go. And usually when you're first starting out, you can't expand your energy field that much. That's why Reiki 1, let's say, is just kind of like person to person. It's like your own personal. Reiki 2, you can do distance. Right? So once you understand energy more, you can start to do distant readings and all that kind of stuff. But as of now, you're going to do personal readings with someone that's in your vicinity that you can actually touch. But I always get something there personal. So for me, it'd be my engagement ring, and I would close in on it. And I usually put to my heart. So that's where a lot of my readings come from, or from my heart. But your readings might come from your sacral, which is down below. It might come from your heart. It might just come straight up from your hands. So you've got to figure out where it is that you feel the most energy. That is where your psychic gifts are usually held. So not everybody is held in the same part of the body, okay? So mine is my heart. Most people, their gifts are coming from their heart, coming from love. So I put my hands on here, and I just take a few deep breaths. Remember how you did that, where you kind of tapped into your physical body? We're going to do that when we're reading for somebody else. And then I'm going to start to say things out loud. So if a random phrase comes along, or a color, or a name, or a type of plant, or an animal, literally anything, you're going to start saying those things to that person. Now remember, when you're first starting out with your psychic gifts, and even when you've been doing this for a long time, you are putting together puzzle pieces. So you're putting together puzzle pieces from the past, from the present, and from the future. So sometimes you might say, I see a black cat, let's say, and they're like, oh my God, I had a black cat when I was 3 years old, right? And so the black cat might not actually be what it is that you're going to be discussing with them, but maybe you're discussing something that happened to them when they were 3. Okay, so it's going to be your job as a psychic, and remember, everybody is psychic, so this isn't something that you're the psychic here. That person is also tapping into their gifts, into their psychic abilities. And so you're going to say, I see a black cat, and they might say, oh, that's from me when I was 3 years old. I had this black cat and I loved her. I loved her so much, and then you might start asking questions that come from your third eye, from your heart, wherever it is that you're tapping in. And you could say, what happened to your cat? Did you get to say goodbye? And they might say, I didn't. We moved and the cat ran away and I never got to say bye. And you could say, well, how did that make you feel? Where do you feel that in your body? And you start to ask questions to that person, and you start to try to figure out with that person what these puzzle pieces mean. So whatever guide that you're calling in to help, or if you're just tapping into their energy, know that they're going to send you different messages depending on the person, depending on the time of day, depending on the symbols, depending on where this person is from and their guides and all of that. So you want to also create a system for you. Okay, so what this will look like when you're reading for other people is that you start to kind of have questions that you're going to ask someone so that they can start digging deeper into your own subconscious. That's what we're doing. We're digging into not only source energy, not only to the collective energy, but we're digging into other people's subconscious. So what are we going to find there? Who God knows. So that's like what we're doing, is we're digging into their past, their present, and their future, and we're finding puzzle pieces to figure out, why are they coming to you? Why are you doing this reading? What is the intention? And this is for yourself too. Like, you're always figuring out puzzle pieces and you're putting together the pieces. And once you put together those pieces, then you can have a whole picture of what it is that why their energy is disconnected, or why they're not having a good relationship with their mom, or why they're having trouble making money. Like, all of these things will help you understand your psychic abilities, and understand whatever the person that you're reading. So you might have these certain symbols that come through when you know somebody is working through a heartbreak. So let's say when someone is working through a heartbreak, the symbol that comes through to you is a heart with a knife stabbed through it. It's a little violent, but that might be what, and you're like, are you going through a heartbreak? Because the symbol for heartbreak just came through to me, right? So you'll be able to create basically your own system of the energy. So the energy comes through, and then you have like this key. You have a key. And so your key might look like pictures. It might look like feelings. Remember, because whatever your clairs are is kind of how you're going to read that person. So maybe you feel, let's just give an example. I used to do readings all the time. Like on Facebook, people would hop on and I'd say, I'll read your energy and I'll tell you what's going on in your energy. And so for me, what usually happens when I'm doing a reading like that is I will feel whatever they're feeling in their body. So I had someone come on and I said, hey, your heart, your actual physical heart is like, I don't know if it doesn't beat correctly, or like it feels as if it's beating really fast and it slows down, and it's beating really fast and it slows down, but it's not rhythmic. And she was like, yeah, I have a heart condition. Like my heart will just stop beating randomly. I'm like, oh, it makes sense because I feel that in my body. So I feel things, but I also, if I'm doing psychic readings, I might see things. So I might have seen her actual heart beating and stopping, beating and stopping. And so I feel it and I see it, right? And then I also hear things if their guides are coming in. And so all my clairs are pretty much open, but all your clairs may not be open at this point. And so you will have to create like a system or a key for yourself. Maybe, let's see what other things could be keys for you so that you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Maybe you see like money falling down, right? Like maybe you have your clairs open and you see this money falling down, and you ask that person, you're like, hey, I see money falling down. Have you like fallen into money recently? Is your business going well? Like, do you have money coming in that is unexpected? And they might start to tell you what it is. Your job as a psychic isn't just to continually guess and be right. That's a misconception, and that's most of the time that's a scam where somebody is like, did you go through a breakup? And like they ask. Your job, if you're wanting to read for other people, isn't to trick people into thinking that you know things that you don't. It's for you to say the things that come up, ask questions, and have them answer. It's a collaborative process. This isn't, I'm the psychic and I know everything. This is, I am reading your energy field and we're collaborating to figure out what is going on. Are there blocks? Are there something that I can tell you that's a future event? Is there something that you need to work through from your past? Is there something that's coming to you that we can collaboratively figure out? We're collaborating on, you have puzzle pieces, I have puzzle pieces. Let's put those puzzle pieces together so we can see the whole picture. If someone is telling you like, I'm the psychic, I know best, this is actually what is happening, and I don't need to know anything that's going on in your life. You don't have to answer any questions. I'm just going to tell you how it is, and nothing resonates with you, then that person might just be like trying to scam you. Like if someone's saying things like that, like that's probably not a good thing. So when I work with people, it's a collaborative experience. I'm saying, this is what I'm feeling for you. Does that feel good in your body? And if they say no, I say, okay, so then let's shift the conversation. What's your intention? Do you have questions for me? And it's a collaborative experience where we're putting together puzzle pieces. That is the same for you when you are doing readings on yourself. It is a collaborative experience with the universe, with God, with your higher self, with your guides, with your ancestors, all of the above. It's a collaborative experience. And that is why in the beginning of this video, I talked a lot about community, and I talked a lot about having a community, and why that when we're focusing on our spiritual awakening as a self-fulfilling prophecy instead of a community-fulfilling prophecy, we're leaving out puzzle pieces. We're leaving out puzzle pieces. And so you look at the bigger picture and you have all these pieces missing in the puzzle, and you're like, I still don't understand. I see that happen often, is that they go on a spiritual journey alone and in isolation, which is good for part of your journey. but then you've got to integrate back into the collective, because the collective has pieces to your puzzle that you are missing. So when you're working with someone, as far as like doing a reading for somebody else, you have a piece of their jewelry, you're telling them what you feel about their energy. Remember that it's a collaborative experience, and you're not just telling them and what you're saying is like law. You're telling them because you want them to also be involved in the experience. And that's how I like to do energy healing as well. Is like when I'm doing an energy healing session with you, I'm asking you to breathe. I'm asking you to tell me what is going on. What are you feeling? Where do you feel it in your body? Because this is a collaborative experience. We're all psychic. We're all healers. We all have gifts, and so it's important that we're putting all of our pieces together, and through that we can create massive growth, quantum leaps, and understanding our psychic abilities. So if you have any questions about anything of the 5 days, put them in the group, and I am really excited for you to be in this group. We have this 5 days of becoming psychic in here. I'm gonna put this all together and put it in the units, I think, in the group, so that you'll have like a little course. You can go back over this whenever you need to. And then next week we'll start, I'll be filming a podcast episode. I'll probably go live in here, and we'll ask some Q&As about the podcast. And I'll be having guest experts come in into this group, and it's just gonna be a really collaborative experience. Because this is a community. So it's called the Healer's Couch for a reason. The reason why I call it the Healer's Couch, I'm actually sitting on a couch right now, is because I want these conversations and discussions to feel as if we're sitting on a couch together, to feel as if we're hanging out together, to feel as if you just came over to my house and I said, do you want a cup of tea? And we're having conversations and discussions. And, excuse me, light. And that's how I want this to feel, is this is a collaborative experience. So ask any questions that you have in the group, and know that I'm excited to support you on your spiritual awakening. If you're going through that process, remember, it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy, it is a community-filling prophecy. So we are focusing on not just our own psychic abilities and how it helps us, but how we can help the collective. I hope you enjoyed these 5 days, and I will see you next week. Bye.